You can run on higher taxes for American, and you can say that $37 trillion in debt is okie dokie to me. That's what you can do. And you can burn a Tesla dealership down while you're at it.
If you think debt
bring that
is
message
bad,
to the American people. I want you to do it.
If you think debt is
I want
bad,
you to do it. How do I make it happen?
Benny Johnson went on Piers Morgan uncensored and absolutely annihilated this woke idiot here, Brian Tyler Cohen, that you can see on the left. He's one of the largest right-wing YouTubers out there. And Benny Johnson handed it to him here live on TV, leaving Piers Morgan even speechless. Let's get into this clip here where Benny Johnson annihilates this woke idiot, Brian Tyler Cohen, for these ridiculous statements that he was making here on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Observation. If I was talking to Trump now, I'd be saying, maybe just slow the horses down a little bit to make sure that as you roll out these very, very big things, you're not letting Americans who don't deserve it slip through the net, either being deported wrongly, losing Social Security wrongly, being fired wrongly, etc.
Well, look, I would say the easy analysis of this is to say that they're incompetent. And I do think that they're incompetent to a degree. But I also think that in large part, this is what they want to do.
Elon Musk isn't incompetent, is he? I mean, let's be clear. He's one of the most brilliant minds in America.
Which brings me to my second point, is in large part, this is what they want to do. I mean, they'll trot out their talking points. And Benny brought out one of these things that, they're looking to just get the debt under control. They're adding money to the deficit, which is going to explode the debt even further. And so like this notion that we're just getting our spending under control, they needed to try to cut a little bit so that they can, including Medicaid and food stamps, $880 billion in energy and commerce, which will cut Medicaid, $230 billion in the Agriculture Committee, which will cut food stamps, to try and offset just a fraction of what they're going to add by virtue of $4.5 trillion for a tax cut that's overwhelmingly going to favor millionaires and billionaires. So we can say that they're incompetent for some of the egregious things that they're doing, but in large part, they're doing exactly what they want to do. They're not focused on the debt. They're not focused on trying to help people or make sure that they have adequate health care or grow, add jobs or whatever it is. They are doing what they need to do for the people that they're looking to help. And that is overwhelmingly people who are exactly like Elon Musk. And by the way, Piers, I would take issue with how you framed Elon, because he's not doing this as some benevolent, patriotic figure.
Well, he's not being paid.
He was under investigation by nearly every single agency that he and Donald Trump have gutted, whether through gutting the agency itself or firing the inspectors general. Department of Labor, NLRB, USAID, CFPB, EPA, and
bro, these people are just so bad faith, man. I don't for a second believe that Brian Tyler Cohen genuinely doesn't understand what he's talking about right now. I think he's doing this in straight up bad faith. Of course, Elon Musk is going to be investigated by every single government agency because he is the richest, if not the richest. He's one of the richest people on the planet. People can argue that the Russian oligarchs possibly are richer than him, whatever. Who cares? He's one of the richest people on the planet. Anybody who has run a business ever or just has basic knowledge of how business works understands that when you're a big fish in a small pond, you have a lot of eyeballs on you. Tax people are after you, and all these agencies are after you, right? They all want a piece of your money. And Elon Musk, not only he's a big fish, period. He's not in a small pond. He is a big fish. Just no matter what pond you throw him in, he is a big fish, if not the biggest fish. So of course he's going to be under investigation by everyone. Whenever you're a big fish in a small pond, yeah, you get a lot of eyeballs on you. That's how things work, dude. It's not just because you're under investigation doesn't mean you did anything wrong. I don't understand. I don't know. There's no way that Brian Tyler Cohen doesn't understand this. There's no way. He's just a bad faith actor, man.
So this isn't some indication of benevolence by this patriotic figure.
Yeah, but
He's helping himself. He's deriving being
investigated or even sued. That's perfectly reasonable, normal business practice. It's whether those investigations or lawsuits lead to anything being actively overturned or then being punished for it. Trump is already on the record as saying, look, I will accept the ruling of judges on these things if we get challenged, but I'm not going to be blasted off my mission statement I made as a candidate. Many people would say, and I think there's merit to this, Trump is doing exactly what he said he'd do. And you might quibble whether they're going to reduce the debt or not. You can't tell after 10 weeks whether an administration can reduce the debt. You can after 2 years, and if they haven't reduced the debt after 2 years, then they're going to get a shellacking in the midterms and probably get a shellacking in the next general election. But I do think trying to assess whether what they're doing at the moment can reduce the debt is a bit preposterous after only, 10 weeks?
Well, it's not preposterous if you have the CBO score that shows exactly how much is going to be added to the debt. And so again, if you're passing it, I mean, it's just math, right? If you're cutting programs that don't amount to as much as you're adding by virtue of these tax cuts, then you are going to add to the deficit, and that's going to balloon the debt, which is to say nothing, by the way, of the amount of federal revenues that are shrinking by virtue of the fact that the economy is doing poorly right now.
Well, it is, except I would say, Benny, if I'm Donald Trump.
You know what's so funny, real quick, is that now that Donald Trump is in office and has been for a couple of months, people like Brian Tyler Cohen and David Pakman and these woke people will look Benny Johnson in the face and talk to Piers Morgan here and say, oh, the economy's in a bad spot because of Donald Trump. They'll blame it on Donald Trump and Elon Musk and these people. Where whenever we were blaming the economy on Joe Biden, they would say, oh, he just inherited this bad economy from Donald Trump. It's not Joe Biden's fault. You guys don't understand how the economy works. He inherited this bad economy. It's not his fault. It's so funny how that just changes overnight.
His own approval rating has never been higher as a president.
No.
I mean, it's never been higher. So
the Democrat Party's approval rating has never been lower.
The Democrats are at record lows, right? So Americans do not want to hear a word from the Democrats. They're done with them. They're done with the woke stuff. And they're actually pretty broadly supportive of Trump, which is, I mean, if you're Trump, you're probably saying, I hear all the squealing. I don't care. I've got a mandate. I won everything in the election, and I'm going to deliver exactly what I said I'd do. And it might take him a bit of time, but, I'm a little bit more patient about this. I think I do see methods of the madness. I do see the border being sorted. I do see an attack on government waste as being very popular with the American people, and so on. So I just think it's too early to say this is all not going to work. Demonstrably, some of it is working and is popular with the public.
Here we go. The tracker right here, $130 billion in savings. That's $1,000 in savings per American household right there. That's what Brian says is adding to our deficit, which is
that the same tracker where they noted that $8 billion were cut when it was actually $8 million were cut? That the same tracker that they started taking credit for cuts that were made during the Biden administration? Just wanted to check if it's the same exact tracker that we're talking about here.
Brian's stance here is that we should raise taxes. And I want him to carry that
My
forward.
stance is that we should raise taxes. All I'm pointing out is that the tracker
higher taxes. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, Brian. I want you to run for DNC chair. Okay, maybe you could take Harry Siston's job, all right, as the #1 DNC influencer, since he's getting canceled right now. You could take Harry's
Benny,
job. You can work with David Hogg, and you can run on higher taxes for American. And you can say that $37 trillion in debt is okie dokie to me. That's what you can do. And you can burn a Tesla dealership down while you're at it.
If you think debt
bring that
is
message
bad,
to the American people. I want you to do it.
If you think debt is
I want
bad,
you to do it. How do I make it happen?
If you think debt is bad, how do you answer for the fact that we are adding debt that based on the CBO score, we're adding debt, and your deity, Donald Trump, added $7.8 trillion to the debt during his first term? Where are these fiscally conservative Republicans?
Yeah, I don't want anyone to add anything to the debt. The vast majority of that came during COVID. We all know what a bizarro time that was. And I don't think that anyone's trying to defend that. Donald Trump has proven time and time again he wants to cut government spending and cut efficiency, cut government spending, add efficiency, and cut our deficit. The deficit is a killer. You cannot run a household or a business when you are in debt. When you're spending $4, you take in $1, you spend $4. That's what the country is doing right now.
Benny, he's never done it.
He's never done it.
You keep saying that he wants to do things that he's never done.
Yeah, he's been in office for 2 months. And like Benny Johnson just said, the first term, it was really just thrown off by the whole COVID thing. All the numbers and all the statistics you can bring out. I mean, COVID kind of throws those out the window. So it's kind of irrelevant. And all we can really do, like, Brian Tyler Cohen might be correct. Maybe Donald Trump does just add even more than Joe Biden or anyone else possibly added to the deficit That's a real possibility that it could be the case, right? But all we can do is go off of what he's promising us. Like, that's all we can really do. Unless it's been proven that he is a liar, which I don't think the first term does that because of the COVID situation. Until it's proven that he's a liar, all we can really do is take him at his word, which really sucks that that's all we can do with politicians, because they do lie a ton just to get into office, just to get into power. They do tell tons and tons of lies. So Brian Tyler Cohen, he might be correct. Maybe Donald Trump is lying. Maybe he will add to the deficit. Maybe he's not going to cut it. Who knows? But all we can really do is take him at his word and just hope, he's going to do better than the Democrats did. And he's already doing better. As Piers Morgan just brought up and Benny Johnson just brought up, the approval ratings for Donald Trump are really high. And the approval ratings for Democrats are very, very low. Nobody is wanting to be on the Democrat side right now. It's not a good place to be, which is why people like Brian Tyler Cohen are so panicked.
It's like amazing. He's been in office for 2 months.
Well, he didn't have 4 years. Hang on, Brian.
Well, hold on.
Brian, he didn't have 4 years. He had 3 years and a pandemic.
The highest revenues.
It would have been
in the pandemic, but the highest revenues.
Without the pandemic, Trump's economic record in the first term would have been a lot better. I've always said Trump would have won that election.
And without 9/11,
exactly
George W. Bush's
okay, so
events
knock off your agenda very quickly if you're not careful. Anna, I want to bring you in on another part of all this.
I think Benny Johnson absolutely cooked this guy, Brian Tyler Cohen. I don't even really think it was close. You could kind of see the panic set in with Brian Tyler Cohen as he's getting cooked, and he's just like, well, what about this? What about 9/11 with George Bush? Like, I think that was a spot-on Brian Tyler Cohen impression, wasn't it? That was pretty good. I actually surprised myself. Anyway, let me know in the comments you guys think about Benny Johnson absolutely annihilating this woke idiot Brian Tyler Cohen here on Piers Morgan Uncensored. These people, I mean, it's just bad faith actors, man. They just have Trump derangement syndrome. They want to find a way to criticize Donald Trump no matter what, even though it's literally like 2 months into his term. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Let me know in the comments you guys think about this whole Benny Johnson versus Brian Tyler Cohen situation.